In terms of from the football part of it, it's uh, it's been a day-to-day adjustment all the way back from last March when they canceled spring practice to the Zoom meetings that we had, extensive Zoom meetings. That was uniquely different, to say the least. Then fast forward to now, even today, we still are not all in one room when we meet. It's by Zoom. Uh, and so there's a lot of challenges, but our guys have responded phenomenal. Their attitude has been great. They have been resilient. Then we start the football practice, and the thing that you can't do on Zoom is you guys know the three things that we start every day at practice with is we're going to play with relentless effort, we're going to be physically, mentally tough, and we're going to tackle. Well, we looked, we studied, but we couldn't find a way to get that done on Zoom. So it's been a fast process over the last 13 days of trying to get our young guys to understand we're going to ask you to do hard things, and you're going to have to make the right choices in that, and it's on fast forward. They've been very good, had a good attitude about it, and we're pleased with the attitude, the work ethic, the resiliency, the ability to adjust and stay focused in that adjustment. Our guys have been really, really good about that. So, Kirk, if you want to open up for questions, we'll take the questions.
All right, Coach, your first question is from Brian Matthews.
Yes, Coach Steele, thank you for speaking to us today. Just wanted to ask you about the secondary and just overall, how do you feel about it, replacing 4 or 5 starters, and especially at the cornerback position? Who do you see stepping up there?
Well, I think, in terms of replacing starters, we've always addressed that issue, and you've heard us say this before. In this league, we've never approached it where we've got 11 starters. We've always tried to get into the neighborhood of, 18 starters that we could play in any game at any point in time, and we did that. An example of that would be that some people would say, well, Roger McCreary wasn't a starter. But you go back and look at his snaps in games, you look at his production, you look at the times in which he played, he's a starter. He was a starter last year. And so we've got several guys like that. And so in college football, we're used to the fact that guys graduate. And so that has not been an issue really for us. In terms of the secondary, I think the thing that probably jumps out, you asked specifically about corners, but looking at it in its totality, we had Tut back at the star position, and I'll just go ahead and cover the whole secondary for you and end it with the corner question. And then Puckett he's lost some weight. He's back healthy. He was not healthy at all last year he's still recovering from the injury that he had, and you could tell it. He's back very fluid and playing very well. And then Tennyson, a young guy, has all the athletic ability to play the position. Obviously, he's in his 13th day. There's still a learning curve, but you can see that we're in a position with this season and what we're dealing with that we have to have every guy ready to play. And so we're still in the process, but he is on track. The safety position, of course, was Smoke and Sherwood back. Those guys played a lot of football. They're considered starters to us, were last year, even though Daniel and Dennison would play the first play sometime. Their pitch count in the games was as high as the other twos. And then we've taken Jordan Peters and moved him from star to safety because Tennyson. And so we've got a 3-man rotation going on there. And of course, we still have Askew is grown up and understands what we're doing, and then Chris Thompson is a young guy that really has a good skill set. As far as the corner position, we've kind of got a fun battle going on. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's factual, and that with Pritchard, Damio, and this is not in any order: Pritchard, Damio, Devin Barrett, Matthew Hill. And then Simpson, Jalen Simpson. those guys are battling. And if you ask me today, I couldn't tell you who would be the starter of that group. I mean, that's how competitive it is. And so with that, we've actually gone from having a situation where, okay, who's going to be the starter and can we find some backups, to we've got a good competition between 5 guys going on there, not counting Roger. And the guys are playing at a high level, and they've all worked with the ones. It's been kind of fun to watch because they all embrace the challenge like you should. They've played with relentless effort. They've shown mental toughness. They've shown physical toughness, and they're good tacklers, which is where we start with everything. And then if we can get that, we'll have a chance. We've been very productive in terms of keeping the top on the coverage with those guys in practice, and that we've gone from being a question mark to we actually are in a situation. Obviously, we hadn't played a game, and game is different, but we feel like that we've got the right guys in the seats.
And as a quick follow-up, Coach Steele, have you ever had a position where you've had 5 guys who have a legitimate chance for winning a starting job all competing against each other? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, in the D-line. It's happened before. In the secondary, for 2 spots, 5 guys, really 6 guys. It's probably a little bit, and it was probably created, as you well know. Sometimes as coaches, we'll go out there and this guy's back, so he's the guy, so you don't create the competition as much as maybe you should. That's on us. We had a situation where we had to create, and so in creating it, they all responded, which is, a good thing.
Next question, Coach, is from J.G. Tate.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for taking some time to do this with us. With Connis being gone, it changes the dynamic a little bit inside up front. Talk about Marquise and Dre, 2 guys we haven't had a chance to see, and maybe how Jay Hardy fits into the depth there.
Yeah, well, you've got Burks and Butler, which are junior college guys, so they're a little bit older. But then you got Zacchaeus Walker, who can play outside and inside, and you got Hardy, Jay, of the young guys, coupled with Truesdale and Newkirk. We have been very impressed with the maturity of those guys. They're all powerful. The athletic ability is not a question. It's there, and they have the right coach coaching them to get them ready in a short period of time. They just got a gift for developing D-line, and they've responded to that. So at this point in time, experience and just seeing it is probably the biggest question. The effort, the athletic ability, the work, the workload is not too much for them. There'll be probably some growing pains, and it'll be a little bit by committee, but it will not be a talent deficient group at all.
Coach, our next question is from Jason Caldwell.
Kevin, thank you for sitting in with us a little bit. To build on your question about, your answer about kind of the depth and playing so many players last year, how valuable is first having so many guys back that have played, but also being in the same system without having spring practice, to not have to teach new things. How valuable has that been during this time?
Well, I think you'd probably be best off to ask the players that, which I'm sure you have at some point in time in a roundabout way. But it's pretty obvious when you go out there and you put our first group out there, and you've got Smoke and Sherwood and KJ Britt and McLean and that Owen Papo, those guys, which they're the ones that have a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things going out there formation-wise, motion-wise, shifts-wise, which will get people. You can't play if you don't get your cleats in the ground and know what you're doing. And we have not had that as an issue. I think it's coupled by 2 things, or 3 things. We have really, really smart guys. They're just smart guys. The other thing is that they've been in this system for a long time. They've had a lot of snaps with the same verbiage, the same terminology, and they understand the system. And then the other thing now, if you total up the hours that we've been on Zoom, it's been a lot of hours. So, you know, you can't teach tackling, you can't teach relentless effort and mental toughness, physical toughness on Zoom, but you can teach the scheme. And I'm not sure, but I think we went through installation about 7 times since April. There's a lot of Zoom hours.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Coach, our next question is from Mark Murphy.
Kevin, talk about working with Chad Morris again, how you guys work together at Clemson and how important it is for you guys to have a good relationship in preseason practice, getting ready to play a game.
Well, like you said, Chad is a friend of mine. We've worked together before. We've stayed in contact. You know, when you've worked with someone before, you kind of understand what they need, and then he understands what I need. And so it's pretty easy when we come together on the practice schedule to make sure that we're helping each other get what we need to see. Because, other than that, then it's line up and let's see who wins the down.
Thanks.
Coach, our next question is from Bill Cameron.
Coach, you talked about the interior guys on the line. What about the ends, the buck and the strong side end? You've got quite a few guys battling there. And have you found anybody who's really giving you some explosion from the edge?
Well, I mean, obviously T.D. Moultrie has done that in the past. There's been flashes of it. Derek Hall played a lot of football last year. Both of those guys kind of have a battle going on. And then we've got two, you know, Romello Height is still injured a little bit. And then Johnson is a guy that has a knack. He had a knack in high school. He hasn't played much here yet, but he's still young. And then at the defensive end, of course, Big Cat Bryant. Kobe Wooden is a guy that you would have to say, not the star, but you would have to say that he is one of the guys that is just taken a big jump from last year to this year. He's playing really well, very mature. His strength level, Russell in the weight room has got him stronger. And then, of course, we got Handy, who is, you know, he's a full-grown man at the defensive end spot that can actually do like Marlon did and bump inside and play too, so we can get snaps. We've got several guys that can do that, but he's one of them. And then Daniel Foster Allen is a young guy with talent.
Next question is from Tom Green.
Hey, Kevin. At linebacker, I know you guys like to rotate 4 guys usually, but with 2 guys opting out, including Chandler, who's really stepped up among those younger guys?
Yeah, Cam Riley and Wesley Steiner are the 2 guys. And I think that Tisdale would have been, but obviously, guys, it's kind of the elephant in the room. We go out there any given day and have in the last 13 days where with the close contact and the testing and all that stuff, it's been kind of intriguing to, okay, you got a guy out, now you got to get reps to another guy. It's been forced a little bit. We're used to that by injury. We're not used to that by the testing cycle that we're dealing with. But it's been, I wouldn't say frustrating because we expected it. We kind of knew it was going to happen, so we took a positive attitude about it. But the positive thing that's come out of it is there's been days in which we had to get experience with a younger guy, and he had to go. And even with the ones occasionally, you've looked out there and had a freshman that had not earned that, but because of the situation, injuries, and then the testing cycles, that they had to go. And so that's helped speed up some of the process for those younger guys.
Next question is from Christian Clemente.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for talking to us today. I was just curious what you've seen out of Nick Curtis so far in fall camp since he transferred from Kent State, and whether or not he'll be able to play this fall.
Well, we're still deciding who will be able to play and who not, but he's an athletic guy. He's very, very smart. You know, played at Hoover High School, which is that's in some ways people will tell you that it's got some properties like a college.